And we are live.
Hello and welcome everyone to the One More podcast with Vibrating Sheep.
I'm Dasabro.
And I'm Koopa.
And this is release week. So we've had some exciting things happening already in the world of Persona 4.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got the charity event in the bag. In 2 days, we have NorCal install.
Yep.
In 3 days, we have the launch tournament that Alex Vi is holding down in Level Up Live.
Indeed.
So there's a lot to talk about this week, guys.
No kidding,
Yeah,
jeez.
it's busy. Really busy.
But let's see. Where should we start, Sheep?
Well, let's start with just a couple of notes, because there was a Wednesday Night Fights last night with 83 people who showed up for Persona 4.
Yeah, that's
and
something.
there was Big 2, which had a pretty good representation for Persona 4, but I'm not sure how many people showed up for Big 2.
I heard it was half the number, actually.
Half of the number of, like,
Wednesday Night Fights.
Wednesday Night Fights, so about 40 people?
Yeah.
That's still really good.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so we're going to talk a little bit about what makes Persona 4 tick and why we're getting such big numbers and how to keep those big numbers coming.
All right.
So from your notes, the number one thing that we're going to talk about is what does Persona 4 have that separates it from all of these other games, all of the Capcom and the SNK games, etc. So,
That's really important.
yeah, so Koopa, you want to start?
Yeah, sure. When I first started playing Persona 4 Arena, the first thing that stuck out to my mind was pretty obvious, the personas, right? So each character has themselves and their persona that they can use to fight in a match. And actually, I remember specifically when Das's first saw the videos of Persona 4 Arena, he thought, this is like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And actually it is. We have that kind of a dual aspect of controlling two characters at once, and some characters, like Shadow Lapras, have that at the very high level degree. Some not so much, like, I don't know, Akihiko.
He pretty much doesn't use it, he just punches people.
Exactly, and it hurts. Ouch. But the main thing I would say is the persona that separates it from other games. But also, my favorite thing about this game is the high level of Oki. Everyone seems to have that to some degree with their persona. Except for, your character.
Right.
It's like you're not playing Persona 4 Arena, Dustin.
I'm playing punch people in the face until they don't get up again.
Exactly.
Punch People 4? I would play that game, honestly.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Alex Vi is going to be playing that too. He's playing Akihiko too.
What? Why, man? All these people who don't want to play
that
PPU. Rush that shit down, punch people in the face. What's a persona?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, he knows
Persona's what you pull out when you're under 30% health.
Are you sure? I thought it was that thing you shot your face in the head with. Because apparently Persona Akihiko does that. I didn't realize until now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does that for his Awakening Super.
Yeah, he's a Evoker, apparently.
Basically, you're right. The persona is a very, very unique aspect of, obviously, the game Persona, and it does serve to separate the game from other fighting games.
Right.
And what I like about it is that it doesn't separate it in a way that feels foreign. It actually completely makes sense with all the fighting game fundamentals that I've already gained through BlazBlue and through Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and a number of other fighting games that I was not particularly good at, but still played. It doesn't feel like the game is any different from them in terms of like playability.
Right.
But the persona function is distinctly separate.
Yes. And I also want to mention that there are so many button mapping combinations that are borrowed from other games as well. So if you played, for example, Third Strike, you're very familiar with the universal overhead. Well, we have that too, except this time as armor, right?
Right.
And then if you played JoJo, obviously it would be used to Persona. If you played King of Fighters, you'll love the rolls. And you might even love it more because you can punish it on startup. That's why I love it.
I think that's a really good feature.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Is there anything you want to talk about?
One thing that I would like to mention, as long as you're bringing up multiple different options, Persona has a wealth of defensive options between invincible backdashes, rolls, a reversal for pretty much every character, and also guard cancel.
Yes.
But it also intentionally locked a lot of those on Wake Up. So if you're coming from Street Fighter, knockdowns will still make a lot of sense because most of the reversal options do not work on Wake Up. You can safe jump the Dragon Punch, the roll has 3 frames vulnerability, the backdash is actually locked on Wake Up, so you don't have to option select it, it just doesn't work. So you'll still have to block mix-up, even though there's so many defensive options, but there's still a lot of creativity on defense.
Right. So you can block the incoming move, instant block it, maybe backdash then. You could use your meter to get them off you. You could even go ahead and DP cancel the super and pray that actually works.
And you actually cannot cancel your Dragon Punch unless you cancel it to super.
Exactly.
Which I actually really like because I was pretty tired of Dragon Punch FADC safe.
Or yeah, exactly.
Ironically, my character still has that tool. That's one of his unique pluses.
What a hypocrite!
We can get to that later.
Alright.
Scumbag acid, bro.
Says he hates safe DPs, plays Akihiko.
It could be worse. He could be playing Mitsuru.
Oh, Spirit Juice, he must feels really hurt right now. It's okay. How about you, Dom? What do you feel about Persona 4 that makes it unique?
So what makes it unique to me is a pair of things. One is the extremely low barrier of entry, and I'm not saying that it's really scrubby. Some of the matches people saw last night, and some of the matches people have been watching on Hanzo Gonzo's stream, there's a real low level of skill, sure, but the thing is that it gives you a really, really smooth learning curve. When you go into the game for the first time, you won't feel lost in a sea of buttons and motions, right?
Yeah, that's true.
There is no such thing as a Dragon Punch motion in this. There's no pretzels. There's no, negative edge really doesn't exist. Links really don't have any, there are links, sure, but they're not a huge, one-frame link combo,
Or at least that's like a very advanced combo that you don't necessarily even know about at the beginning.
Right.
And you'll feel very, very slick even without those one-frame links.
Exactly. And so, when you jump into the game for the first time, you'll feel very welcomed. There's a lot of games that people love, and they're great games, but they just don't welcome you into the game very well.
I think a great example of that is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh, damn.
One of the most unforgiving games to pick up in all fighting game existence, where bread and butters consist of 10 one-frame links. And you pick up the game and you don't know what you're doing. You just feel like you are absolutely hopeless. And I do appreciate that Persona does not do that to new players.
But also what it doesn't do is that it doesn't offer you very many touch of death combos. People are used to Marvel, for example. Marvel, you get 2 hits and your character is dead, right?
That's like if you're playing against someone who's bad. Usually, it will be 1 hit and your character is dead.
Or let me think. Well, Skullgirls suffered from that pretty heinously, where 1 touch of any kind and your character is dead. Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, which I mentioned again. If you're playing against someone who knows the game better than you, he will parry everything. You will die, and you will not understand why you died, and you just go, well, screw this game. But, even Alex Valle, who was mentioning last night, we were going to bring him up a lot because he's, an important figure in the fighting game community. He said, so I jumped into this game, and people said, people said, you know what, Valle? You should just hit AA, and then A again if you feel like using meter. And he felt really comfortable with that, He liked it. He's like, I don't have to worry about all these crazy things. I can transfer my fundamentals first, and then work on combos.
Yeah.
Right.
Which was actually an interesting factor, because I feel like most Arcsys games, they have that barrier when it comes to combos. It's really confusing to get around the air dash system and implement that. But when you have people from different fighting game genres, well, rather, styles of fighting games, right? When they go into Persona 4 Arena, they can just put it all together and it all makes sense.
Right, and, getting touched and dying is a horrible, horrible feeling,
That's true.
And so you die in the first 12 seconds, and you're like, what did I spend my money on? And so, this game's much less combo heavy, and it's funny to say that, but, standard combos without having fatal counters or whatever, things like that, will do about 3,000-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else will cost resources. And so it takes you, 4 or so bad guesses to die. And that number is huge for a lot of fighting games.
Right.
And so, it's different from, for example, BlazBlue, where BlazBlue, you get a counter hit, and suddenly you're in the corner and you've taken 6,000 damage.
Now, honestly, once you get to a high level in this game, fatal counters do the exact same thing, but they are usually a harder thing to achieve with most characters than it was in BlazBlue.
Right.
And usually, it's most commonly like a Dragon Punch punish. You can't press Dragon Punch. Even though the motion is very simple, you can't just press Dragon Punch. because of the threat of these massive damage combos that will leave you in the corner.
Yes.
Right. Like, as you get more advanced in this game, yeah, you want to avoid fatal counter situations. So it's like, don't try and sweep Mitsuru, otherwise she'll kill you. You know, that kind of thing.
Right.
But it's a different level. Like at the basic level, then yeah, you're not going to run into these things nearly as often.
Right.
And
it's very warm and fuzzy.
Yeah. Okay. So should we move on to the next question, or do you want to continue on this this topic, guys?
I think I'm good.
I feel fine about it too.
Yeah. Okay. So that's basically what Persona 4 has going for it, and so the next question, going from the very, very basics, is what are the fundamentals of P4 Arena? How do you go from scrub to killer?
Dasa, do you want to take this one, or should I?
Yeah, I can take this one.
Go ahead.
I would say that the most important thing about going from a scrub to killer in Persona, I think actually this is one of the games where the tier list will be most apparent at the lowest level of play. And I think that's actually a really good thing. But the tiers, I've heard that Mitsuru and Aegis are very, very strong characters. And I see that represented extremely often in the lowest level play. But as I see the play grow and the players get better and better, the matchups stabilize in a lot of ways. Because a lot of the mix-ups and a lot of the neutral game is just so structured and just so clearly, intentionally the way that it is, that there is a very specific logic to it. But I think that the characters that are worse have to know the matchup better than the top tier characters. I think that's the most specific advantage that I've noticed. Like, for example, in the Akihiko versus Aegis mirror, the matchup, I have felt like I needed to establish the matchup, and my opponent has not needed to so much. And when I didn't know the matchup, it felt very overwhelming. But as I started to understand her tools and started to understand what I could call out, the matchup really started to feel even. And I think that's one of the most important things that people are going to have to do to reach a higher level of play in Persona 4. They're going to have to really learn their matchups, and they're going to have to know what beats what, how to punish specific things, especially the things that are going to feel overwhelming at first. Like Aegis, when she reaches Awakening, gains a reversal super that is safe on block.
Yep.
And at a glance, that just seems ludicrous. This is like a somewhat keep-away character with intense rushdown that now has a safe-on-block reversal. But a lot of characters have multiple ways that they can still bait that. If you don't commit to anything on her wake-up, you can reaction roll it and still punish. So knowing specific punishes like that is really, really important for the matchup, whereas if you're at a scrub level, you'll just say, that was bullshit, and I'm mad that this character's so much better than mine, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It just means that if you read a DP, you do it the logical way, the most standard way. You just block it, or apparently in this case, you roll it, and then you punish. You do nothing.
And a different example is Mitsuru's Dragon Punch.
Mm-hmm.
If you're calling out Mitsuru's Dragon Punch, you need to do so very hard. Her Dragon Punch is very intentionally extremely powerful because her normals are very slow.
Yes.
She has a 7-frame crouch A compared to a very standard 5-frame crouch A among the rest of the cast. Some might even be 4 frames. So her defensive choices were intentionally buffed as a result of that. Her Dragon Punch can cancel to a super as a frame trap if you let her land. Her Dragon Punch flips into the air, and then as her feet touch the ground, she can cancel into a super that does roughly half of your health on counter hit. So if you're trying to punish her super, her Dragon Punch as hard as you can, you really need to call it out very hard, instant block it on the ground, and fatal counter her before she hits the ground. And you will get a very reliable punish that will still limit her defensive choices, and she'll feel much more limited than if you are trying to punish her after she lands on her feet.
Yes.
Don't forget, by the way, Dacid, that not only is it half of your health on counter hit, it's also air unblockable.
Right. That's a very important thing to note, because if her Dragon Punch does not counter hit, you are capable of teching in the air. So if you tech into the air after her Dragon Punch, she can throw that as a reset. So there are some very bizarre, intricate is definitely the wrong word for that, intricate things about matchups that you will need to know, especially when dealing with the best characters in the game. but it doesn't feel like these top-tier characters are so overwhelming as you just really need to know the matchup cold.
Yes.
And I think decent proof of that is SBO. There were only 2 Mitsurus out of 8 top 8 players, and there were actually no Aiguses.
Which was a shocker.
Even though those are considered the top 2 strongest characters, they were not a dominant presence. Mitsuru did win the tournament, which certainly makes sense. But obviously that player is fantastic, and so are all the other top 8 players.
Although, I want to do a quick tangent. What really shocked me was there was one and only one Naoto player that qualified for SBO. His name was Dempa, and he made it to 3rd place. I just want to do a silent clap for that guy, because he's he's my hero.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Naoto is another character that is pretty unexplored, but could be fantastic once people really reach a strong potential with her.
And so that actually brings me to something that not only talks about how you go from scrub to killer in this game, but also how it's so nice to beginners, is that there's only 13 characters in this game. And so you will learn 13 matchups, sure, but every matchup will distill down to a couple of tools that each character has that will destroy you, and so you have to work around them. You know, it'll be things like Teddy's standing B, the baseball bat, or it'll be Mitsuru's dragon punch, or I guess everything that she can do in Orgia mode. Let's ignore that one for now. But you know, it'll be Naoto's gun, it'll be Naoto's traps, things like that. And so you don't have to game plan for a cast of 50. You game plan for, you know, a field that will include 13 players, 13 characters. And so it's really, really much than a lot of other games to learn the matchups in this game. Gonna say something, Koopa?
Dom, I think you're breaking up a little bit.
Just a little bit.
That sucks. Alright, let me try that again. But
yeah,
basically,
can you recap that whole thing?
Yeah, so there's only 13 characters, right?
Yes.
And so when you go into a tournament, there's not a wide open field of 50 characters that you have to know the matchup for, and someone can come out of nowhere with a character you've never seen before, and you just get destroyed. You can take a look at, you know, Fruitsy with MODOK in EVO.
Yes.
You can take a look at, you know, I think the first time that GamerBee came out of Taiwan with Adon, right?
No one knew.
Yeah, and just no one knew the character because it just was completely unexplored. This game has 13 characters, and you will only need to learn those 13 characters and a couple of tools that each character has that can dominate the matchup.
Right.
So, you know, it's a much smaller barrier. You don't have to grind matchups nearly as hard. Anyway, is there anything else you guys want to talk about with what fundamentals people need to work on the most?
I guess I can mention a few things. I believe the other day, right after Wednesday Night Fights, Justin made a comment about how he wished he could play Chie because she reminds her of... She reminds him, my bad, Justin, no offense, nothing, of Iron Fist, right?
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but Iron Fist with knockdown Oki, and everyone seems to have that in this game, which is... Except for your character, Dis. Come on, man. Everyone seems to have that in this game, so... Strangely enough, fundamentals in this game seem to be... Learn your options when you knock someone down. On defense and on offense. That's right. I'm saying that for sure. Now, the next one is, as you mentioned, Dom, how... People do have similar tools, it's just the question of which ones are unique per character. Once you put that into a separate category and find your select answers and how to beat them, then it limits the amount of confusion you have if you're a new player coming into the game. So, as I was doing the other day in the Vase Koopa Shadow Lab, I was testing out how to fight against certain characters, and I found out, you know, everyone has an anti-air, but their purposes are slightly different. Find those small tweaks and how to beat it is what makes you specialize in the game.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Definitely. Alright, so we're pretty much done with that topic. We'll move on to, Persona 4 Arena. Will it last, and can we keep it going?
Dom, actually, I want to hear your opinion on this one.
Okay. So, yeah, as a community guy, I'm really, really encouraged by the early turnout, because this is one of those things. Dacid, you linked once to a Stickbug post about why Blaze Blue players didn't leave their houses. And it was a huge problem in the Blaze Blue community. People didn't leave their houses to play the game. It was all online, and it was really poor, etc., etc. But as we can see, this game, Persona 4 Arena, is really unifying the community. Like, it's bringing a lot of people out of their houses, off of their couches, and it's bringing people in from other games, because not only is it so beginner-friendly, but the high end is actually really satisfying. People can play whatever character they want, and that character is viable. And there's no, there's no touches of death, so you actually have a lot of choices to make within the game. You don't feel like you get cheesed out very often. Although, sometimes people will still get salty about pretty much anything. And so that's the whole thing. Like, the first week turnout has been great. The second week turnout needs to keep being great in order for this game to survive. And it's got a lot of initial hype. And sure, we're not going to hit 80 people every week. We're not going to hit 50 people every week, or however many that NCI is going to hit. But just getting people to go to events and show their support is huge. And so the momentum can stay, but people have to put their money where their mouths are. People have to be able to be willing to pay gas money, bridge money, whatever it is, to make it to these events and support this game. And you know what? People have already done that, and I'm giving them props for that. But this is week 1. We'll see where you are in week 20.
Yeah, no, that's really important. And I would actually like to piggyback on that and say that if you can help someone who desperately wants to support the community to make it out to these events, and you have the financial capabilities to do so, please step up and take that position if you are capable and you feel that kind of inspiration to do so, because you could truly save some scenes, especially if they are smaller, if they are less established. You could be part of the building blocks to create some of these scenes. Did you have anything else to say about this, Dom? I actually have a lot to say about this one.
Well, yeah, the second thing is that Atlus is a great company, and they support their games a hell of a lot. And so if you don't know whether or not you can get an event together, contact Atlus, and you can find out where the events are. You can find out if you can just start one on your own, and if people will show up to it yourself. There's a lot of resources out there, and people will need to take advantage of all of them, especially if they don't have a scene yet. But the interest is there. We've seen that there's a lot of casual people who want to play this game. There's a lot of advanced players and pro players who want to play this game. And so, indulge them. Give them a place to play the game. It doesn't matter if you have 5 people or if you have 100 people. Make sure that everyone feels welcome.
That's really good.
Yeah, and go ahead, Dacid.
Sure. I think Jenkins from Draw Instruction had a really profound statement about the event we just held at Game Center on Tuesday. He said that he noticed that it's very, very common for these kinds of long 24-hour events for people to really enjoy the first half, or like the first 6 hours. The first 6 hours are usually like amazing and everyone's having a lot of fun. Maybe 6 hours later people are kind of like dying down on the excitement a little bit. And then towards the second half, a lot of people just get burned out, and they realize it's not all they were looking for. They start to get upset, like the games haven't been going their way all day, and they start to get mad about it. Some people like make a big scene and storm out. And at our 24-hour event, people were still like goofing off and having a ton of fun like 21 hours into the event. Like, yes. People still just could not stop smiling. Everyone was having fun playing the game. Everyone was just ecstatic to play this game and lose. And they were just fine with losing match after match after match because the game was just so much fun for them to play. All the way from the scrubbiest players that I know all the way to the very top, I didn't see anyone that was just visibly upset with the way that it was going, or like they felt like it was just so unfair what just happened to them. Usually they felt like somehow they were either responsible for the loss or that it was okay that they lost because the game is just so much fun to play. And I think that's a really, really good sign for the future of the game, because...
Although... Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, okay. Like with Marvel 3, I think people just love playing this game. I think it looks amazing. and it feels clean. So I think putting those two together, and I think honestly putting it in a much more solid game engine than Marvel 3 in terms of fighting game, in terms of fighting game like potential, I think this game has a very large future to it, and I would be very surprised if it does not continue to do well. What were you gonna say, Dom?
No, I was gonna say, well, there was one moment where I thought that Ryan was going to kill himself because he was visibly upset, but he was smiling when Daryl came up and beat him with his 2-button stick.
I thought you were gonna bring that up.
With just A and Dragon Punch. That stick was so godlike.
Can I lay the backstory for that?
Go ahead, please.
Yes.
I don't know if it started here, but literally one day before the event, I retweeted like a fake leaked stick from Mad Catz that was a Persona 4 artwork with only one button on it. It was the A button, and it just said MASH next to it. And I was messaged privately on Twitter that there was a significant problem with that stick, that it didn't have a way to press Dragon Punch. So the stick was just flawed. Like, you couldn't use it. But that was like his only mock complaint with the stick. So DJ Cream shows up to the charity tournament with a modified stick with the same exact artwork that has an A button and a Dragon Punch button, and they are labeled as such. He goes into the match with Moogle Parade with this stick, shows it to the stream. Everyone knows he's playing a stick with 2 buttons. And he still wins over Moogle Parade. And I'm going to be honest, Moogle Parade did look like he was going to kill himself. After that match, he looked like a defeated man. Because he probably realized that he lost to a person that had no way to pass guard, could not tech grabs, and couldn't do a number of other important functions like burst or rapid, and Moogle Parade still found a way to throw the match.
He was so intimidated. He's like, oh god, I can't lose this. It's almost worse than losing to Dan in Street Fighter. It's like, if I lose...
It was like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because he was so scared that he was going to lose that he didn't make the right choices to win. Oh my god, if you haven't seen that match, it is on YouTube. Look up, like, the legend of DJ Cream or something like that.
It's up?
2-button DJ Cream, something like that. It'll come up. It's amazing.
Okay.
But you know what? Ryan really beat himself there because he was just so scared of losing and becoming a legend that, you know, it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's right. But, you know, any actual player will just realize all I have to do is block low.
A lot of different things. But he did none of them, and instead lost.
Anyway, sorry, Koopa. We went on a huge tangent there for the legend of the 2-button stick. What are you going to say about this topic?
The first thing I want to say is now my mouse is dead.
Okay, congratulations.
I know. So I'll try to make it work in just a bit. The second thing I want to say is, at the event, we actually saw a mixture of players from the BlazBlue community, players from the King of Fighters community, players from Super Street Fighter 4, players from Marvel vs. Capcom 3, all together. And I liked how they all chose a character that helped bring that out, that special aspect of their game into Persona 4 Arena. And I thought...
if I could interrupt, you did miss Guilty Gear. There were actually a lot of Guilty Gear players that showed up that had not been to a tournament in a very long time.
Yes, and I want to mention that as well. My mistake. And when I saw the people play, I saw how their main game factored into Persona 4 Arena, and I liked seeing that a lot, actually. Specifically Tenkai. And I like this guy. When he plays Akihiko, he makes like really ballsy decisions, and I'm like, wow, early burst, that's definitely Guilty Gear. Rushes in, no fear, that's definitely Guilty Gear. I could see this guy play. And then when I see, I guess Tasty Lumpia, when Tasty Lumpia plays Persona 4 Arena, he goes wild, man. That is Marvel 3.
I don't know if Tasty's the best example of Marvel play.
But hey,
but
I can see it
wild.
there. I can see it there, right? Shout out to that guy. I love him. It's always Tasty, the Lumpia.
Shout out to Dragon Punching 7 times in losers finals and getting baited all 7. That one's for you, Tasty.
Right.
But actually, that does lead me into another topic. If you're done, Koopa.
Oh yeah. So you want to continue to hype in Persona 4 Arena. Bring out the aspects of your main game into it, and you can keep it live. Go on.
But yeah, I was going to lead off of that because we're seeing a ton of players from all sorts of other games play Persona 4 for different reasons, and they all love it. I mean, Combo Fiend is loving Shadow Labrys right now because she's just so much fun to play for him. He loves those characters where they're just so unique and they do things that no other character in the game does, right? Mm-hmm. And then Justin Wong is playing, well, he wanted to play Chie, but right now he's on Narukami just because he loves the Oki game, he loves the Mind games, you know, things like that. Alex Valle, he's playing right now. He loves Akihiko and the RTSD. You know, he just loves pushing buttons in your face and making you play on his terms. Reynold is playing right now, and he's playing that KOF mix-up game, you know?
Chie, yes.
Yeah, he's just all over the place. He wants to be everywhere. He wants to be pressing buttons everywhere. He doesn't give a crap what your options are. You know, he's gonna just he's gonna force you to play on his terms, right? And then Yipes has investigated Mitsuru, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, Yipes has been talking about Mitsuru.
Oh my god, that sounds terrifying.
It's going to be crazy, you know. Up here, like, we had BBZ at the event. I'm sure he's gonna gravitate to Mitsuru or Aegis. Shout out to BBZ.
I wonder why.
the man has well-defined preferences in his fighting games, you know.
Scumbag BBC.
Hey, he's not a scumbag. He just knows what he likes, all right? Let's just put it that way.
Hey,
I mean,
we love him for that.
I personally have not entered a real fighting game tournament, not counting Catherine, in like 10 years, ever since Guilty Gear. I'm serious about this.
Okay.
And I'm going to enter in this game. I'm going to go in seriously on this game because I love playing Teddy. I have really good memories of playing Faust. I loved trolling him. And I also loved beating the crap out of people with just like, and I'm full screen, and I can hit you, and you can't hit me. Oh, that's so fun.
And this is why I hate Teddy.
Well, you're a Shadow Labrys player. You're especially badly off against Teddy, where it's like, oh, I have to block all the time with my Persona, otherwise he'll just hit B.
Yeah, that sounds like a very interesting matchup.
Sad reality right now.
It's right now. It's a sad reality. We'll figure out technology, but you know, everybody has something that they can find in this game, and that really is going to help its longevity.
I agree. That is a really important point. And like me coming from BlazBlue, I'm just playing Bang. Like, I'm doing the same rushdown stuff I'm doing with Bang. It transfers over just fine. There are some key differences, but there are also some really nice things that I'm not used to having, which is also very nice because I'm very used to not having a Dragon Punch. Now I have one of the best Dragon Punches in the game instead. And that feels great. And I think a lot of people are encountering some things that maybe they've never had before in a character, and finding out they really enjoy them.
Yeah. Everybody has a huge toolbox in this game, and it's really fun. I mean, look at all those kanji players. All of those kanji players are so not used to having a legitimate Dragon Punch, right?
Yeah.
They're not used to having, like, 3 different angles of command grab.
Yeah.
And so they're enjoying the hell out of themselves.
Or having an air dash.
Oh yeah,
Grapplers having an air dash is very bizarre.
That's horribly scary.
Even if going backwards is faster, I love that, the butt dash. People haven't done it very much in the U.S. yet, but over in Japan, every once in a while, you'll see it where they jump neutral or they jump forward, they turn around, and then they air dash backward, because kanji's air dash is faster backward than it is forward.
Exactly.
There's actually even more reasons to it than that. You could also get invincibility from doing that. Yeah. But this is getting a bit tangential.
It's hilarious. But anyway, let's go forward, actually. So the next topic is going to be Persona 4 events in the future. And so, you know, we're going to be talking about everything from how to make them successful, which we've really been trying to hammer home here, to just which ones we would like to highlight. So, Koopa, you want to start us on this one?
Okay, so once again, I'm sorry, my mouse is now dead, so I can't show you the flyers, but the first one we're going to have is NorCal Install on Saturday. That would be the 11th. At 12 p.m. PST, it's going to be at Game Center, the same venue as the Persona 4 Arena charity event, and we're going to have 4 games there, including Persona 4 Arena. So Persona 4 Arena, Skullgirls, King of Fighters 13, and BlazBlue.
Do you know if it'll be the patch version of Skullgirls?
I'm not too sure, actually.
Okay. That's something that should probably get clarified.
I'll actually have to double check that with Chun, and, well, it's already patched, you know?
It has been, yes.
Okay, then we'll make sure it's the patched version.
Okay.
Okay. And the next thing I want to mention is Level Up Live's Persona 4 Arena launch tournament on August 12th, immediately after NorCal install.
The next day.
So let's see, that would be at 5 p.m. PST on twitch.tv/leveluplive. NorCal install is on the one you're watching, twitch.tv/finestko. Okay, so about these events in the future, Dacid, how about you talk about your possible trip to SoCal?
I think it's more than possible. It's pretty much guaranteed.
Okay.
Myself and at least 4 others are going to be going to NorCal install on Saturday. We're going to be playing our hearts out all day, and then we're going to take as much rest as we can get, which might not be too much. We're all going to pack up into a car and head to Alex Valle's Level Up tournament the very next day.
Yes.
To try to really show that we care about this game a lot. We're just going to like forfeit our rest like we've been doing all week.
Okay.
And just really try to represent that this game is something that's worth supporting. If you're in SoCal, please show up to the tournament. I'd love to meet you. If you're someone I already know from Southern California, great. I'll see you there for sure. But we want everyone from Northern California to make it to NorCal install if you can, and everyone from Southern California to make it to Level Up if you can.
Yes. So you have your own specific launch tournament, so to speak.
Right.
And so something I'd like to point out is that turnout leads to more tournaments. A lot of these guys, they're not just doing it out of love for the game. They're doing it because it makes money for their arcade. It keeps the arcades open, it keeps the events going and things like that. So they'll only bring in games that will bring in people. And so it's very important for people to show up to these and support them in any way they can, because if you hold a tournament and only 8 people show up, then they're not going to hold that tournament the next week.
Right. It's very much momentum based. If you can get massive numbers, like 83 at Wednesday Night Fights is a very good look for the start of this game. But if next week it's 70, and the week after that it's 60, and the week after that it's 50, like it shows the future. But if it's 80 this week, and then it's 100 next week, and then it's 120 next week, if it continues to snowball, it's the exact opposite. Like, the game cannot fail. So everyone that's like sitting at home watching, like, you are very, very important to this game's future. If you can show up to the tournaments, doing so will basically self-fulfill this game's possibility to be in larger stages such as EVO, SBO. It will guarantee its spot in these future events. And also in other majors that are leading up to that.
Yes.
Like CEO, Season Speedings, Summer Jam,
NCR, SCR.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
NCR, SCR, exactly. And it's also going to be at Revelations upcoming.
Oh yeah, that's
right.
August 17th. There we go.
That's right.
Are you going to that one actually, Dacid?
I'm trying to figure that one out. I'm trying to work out a deal where I could do commentary for them. So I need to talk to John Nelson more in depth about it. I'm really trying to go though.
Okay.
That would be awesome. Anything else, guys?
I think that's it in terms of Persona 4 Arena events.
All right, so let's move on to the free Q&A with the stream. And also, Koopa, please take the questions from the stream, but don't accept any ones from Mikey where he requests that I sing the Rent-A-Hero song.
Okay, gotcha.
That's an old song.
So what's going to happen is I received a few questions via my Twitter, and if they're directed to any of you, I'll tell you, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so 2ButtonDP, also known as @CarnageScissors, asks, can you explain Akihiko's mix-up overhead? It looks kind of slow. Does it speed up with chargers? For example, SB crossover looks good. Do you mostly charge? I think it's the question he made there. A little bit incorrectly spelled though. But yeah, how about this? Can you explain Akihiko's mix-up?
Dom, I think you should probably take this one since you're the better Akihiko.
Oh, well, actually what you do is you roll your face all over A plus B, and then, you just hope.
Okay, well, I guess...
Dom's mic cut out, but I guess I'll try to explain Akihiko's mix-up.
Sure, go for it.
What I know of it. So there's 2 different, vastly different mix-ups for Akihiko. If you're on level 0, it is 1 mix-up, level 0 being out of Cyclone. And if you're in levels 1 through 3, it is a very, very separate entity. Level 1 through 3 being in Cyclone. Basically, Akihiko's mix-up is structured so that if you're canceling through your specials in boxer-style mix-up, it's very different than when you're just using your normals as a standard block string. If you are in level 0, your sweep has a follow-up, which means your low is threatening. That makes your highs also threatening. Because your sweep can also be a full combo, you can hit things like the all-out attack, you can hit things like the standing C and the crouching C. Crouching C and sweep is actually a very good 50-50 if you're in 0 Cyclone, and the crouching C is very neutral on block. The sweep is also completely safe on block, so his level 0 Cyclone mix-up, level 0 being not in Cyclone mix-up, is actually very safe. It's a lower reward though. Once you enter into Cyclone, the risk-reward becomes higher. You are wagering more, and you're also receiving more. If you hit the mix-up, especially if you're level 2 or level 3, it will capitalize into much higher damage than if you're at level 0. However, your high-low mix-up basically vanishes. Unless you have meter, you can't confirm your sweep into anything legitimate, which means that your high-low mix-up is very weak. But you gain access to things like the cross-up if you do anything into backward sway, EX duck, you'll cross through the opponent, you can wall bounce them with the finisher because you're at level 3. It's a very dynamic, very high-risk mix-up, but the reward is undeniably massive, and it is absolutely impossible to react to. You just have to know it's coming. And there's also even better things, like throwing an A-hook, then EX cross through wall bounce, will beat them for blocking cross-up, then hit them cross-up if they blocked it. His mix-up becomes very, very, very overwhelming. But you're risking a lot more. You can get mashed out much more easily. Dragon Punches will hit you much more often. You have to make much harder call-outs. So his level 1 to 3 mix-up is much more risky, but much higher reward. And his level 0 mix-up is very standard high-low, but it's lower reward. I hope that helps a little bit. Akihiko's mix-up is actually incredibly complex.
Yes.
But that is about as good of a summary as I can say just off the top of my head. Also, make sure you're using his grab. If you're not using D sway forward grab, you're missing a lot of the characters mix-up.
I will say this. I remember when I asked Dasibro on the 24-hour event, can you please explain Akihiko's mix-up? I had 3 pieces of paper in front of me. I think about 2.5 were filled with Akihiko mix-up. I was like, wow, really, man? Great, thank you.
And this is why he's a good commentator.
That's good. You gotta know your stuff when you commentate about games. It helps the survivability.
But also, for viewer purposes, this is why you see when Dasibro gets a knockdown, you see him doing all of the sways and weaves. He's getting his Cyclone up so that he can get better paid for his mix-up.
That's right. A very standard knockdown is any air confirm into dive kick. You cancel the dive kick like that body rush where he slams the enemy to the ground. You do D sway forward, C sway back, and that is a very solid knockdown where you have the access to the cross-up, you have the access to the fake cross-up, then cross-up, you have access to overhead, you also have access to sway grab. It's very powerful. You can also bait Dragon Punches with EX hook.
Yes.
So you have stacked the odds to be the highest possible risk and the highest possible reward at the same time.
Reminds me of betting all your power into one single punch.
Right.
Very anime.
It's very anime. It's extremely dynamic. It does look amazing, though.
It really looks good.
All right. The next time you land a dive kick and you start doing that sway, I'll start shouting, "Yo, anime!" But you better land that cross up, okay?
Right.
All right.
Maybe we should just start doing the Dragon Ball Z and go, ha!
Oh my god, every time I hit a knockdown, that would get very, very ridiculous.
I know.
It was already ridiculous enough when Spirit Juice was behind you doing the Grimer dance.
The greatest, right? Oh my god, it's dancing, bro!
Anyway.
Alright. Let's go on to the next question, okay? Alright, the next one I have on Twitter is, do you guys have tips for getting used to the movement in Persona 4 Arena for someone coming from Street Fighter 4? Okay, I wish this guy told me a little more about what character he played. It was Immutable, actually. So, Immutable, if you're in the stream chat right now, please tell me which character you played in Street Fighter 4.
I could go through just some basic factors of Air Dasher game's movement, though.
Oh, go ahead.
It's very important to use your grounded dash, because unlike Street Fighter, it is not a hop. It's a holdable dash. And that's very, very important in the footsies game because unlike Street Fighter, you can do dash normals.
Yes.
So using things like dash jab or dash heavy attack is really, really important in all air dasher games.
Yes.
Also, you have an air dash. Using that as an approach will be very important, but also not being predictable with it, similar to a jump forward in Street Fighter, will be really important. Beyond... Oh, I'm sorry, did you...
No, go on.
Beyond that, you also have super jump, which is another important air movement, and you have double jump if you don't super jump. So getting used to all those different air options is going to be really important. Unlike Street Fighter, you will spend a lot of time in the air in this game. But not as much as BlazBlue, because this game has true air unblockable attacks. So the risk of being in the air is much higher than BlazBlue.
Yes. So in that, on the subject of anti-air, since Street Fighter, where you jump, you can't block, you can definitely learn how to make that viable in Persona 4 Arena. Since you play Mitsuru Immutable, crouching C will be your anti-air of choice if they're jumping, or DP, right? But of course they can block the DP.
Give me crouching B.
Sorry, crouching B. I'm so used to C being the strong move.
I understand.
The next one is, you said you played Fei Long in Street Fighter 4. When I look at air dashing games, I think of it as slow motion movement with a bunch of moving hitboxes. So what I mean by that is when you're dashing and pressing a button, right? You're essentially a moving hitbox. If you can kind of put that into your mind frame by frame, and pretending essentially you're doing a moving Rekka with Fei Long, then it could be a way of understanding space control. There we go. Space control for an air dasher.
It's actually not a bad comparison. It's like a Rekka that confirms to mix up on block instead of being somewhat unsafe.
Yes.
So recognizing the strength of the dash normal is very, very important.
I think we sufficiently answered that question.
Probably.
Okay, let's see what the next question is. I got a lot of troll questions. Thanks, guys, on Twitter.
Yeah, that's what I figured. If you find one that's especially funny, though, we can answer it.
Okay, you know what? Let's do this instead. Daryl Bunal, also known as DJ Cream, wants to add one small note on Persona 4 Arena fundamentals. And he believes strongly that to discourage DPs in this game, punishes are incredibly important to know and to recognize. So you
That's really true.
Yes, because DPs are mapped to two buttons, B and D. It's easy to come out, but when you bait it, you gotta make sure that you teach them that it's an easy move to come out, but it has such a high risk. Otherwise, they're gonna keep mashing it and say, "Oh, your punish is only 1,000. I don't care, because I do 1,000 too, and I get you off me."
That was one of the very first things that I learned. I made sure that I knew my 5B fatal combo to convert into 5,000 damage with no meter.
Yes.
Because then I could teach people to stop pressing Dragon Punch. And everyone except for Tasty Lumpia stopped pressing Dragon Punch.
Well, you see, you don't understand Dacid. He comes from the school of unlimited Brettworks, where the bravery is in the buttons. DP.
With all of these callouts, man.
No, I love Brett. I do. He's an awesome guy, but he comes from the school of Brett.
Unlimited Brettworks is a legitimate Dragon Punch school where Brett teaches you how to press Dragon Punch, and that's about it.
And it either wins you games or it makes you lose, but at the same time...
I'm gonna be honest, it's all the Narukami players.
Yeah, I know.
You look at Dark Talon, he presses it a lot. You look at Tasty Olympia, he presses it way too much. You look at Brett, he just never ever stops. That's the only button he presses.
Alright, well, the way he put it is, why block when I can DP? I love that guy.
Truly profound words.
Yes. Oh, man.
Do you have any more questions?
Let's actually get some from the stream now. So if you have any questions for Persona 4 Arena or any of the commentators here, please address us, and we'll go ahead and take answers.
And while we're waiting for questions, by the way, I will mention that you guys are weak little kids because you guys actually went and slept during the 24-hour stream. Dacid was missing for like 6 hours. Koopa, you were missing for a while. I was up that entire time.
1.5 hours. Give me a break.
You want to know real pain? I've been up for 24 hours again, and I'm sitting here at 26 hours, and I'm doing this podcast with you guys, and I haven't even complained about it. So who's the weak little kid now, Dom?
Yo, Dom. Shout outs to everyone.
Call outs everywhere.
I know, man. Hey, but, yo, I was sick, and I went to the charity event. What about that?
I respect that. I respect that.
Well, there we go. But now I just complained about it, so I'm a weak little guy.
That's true.
There we go.
It's the unfortunate
So should we
dichotomy.
just change the name of this podcast to the Call Out Podcast?
It might as well be. Yeah, jeez.
All call-outs all the time.
Call outs and put people on the spot.
Hey, so this is a question to Jordal out there.
Okay.
What's it like being Texan now? Has anything changed?
You know, if he were here, he'd kill you.
On the last One More podcast, I noticed that Jordal tends to get angry whenever I talk about Texas.
Okay.
So I said, Jordal's probably from Texas. Turns out, I think he's from New Jersey or New York,
Okay.
which actually makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah, it does.
But now he's from Texas.
Permanently.
Get any questions, Koopa?
Let me go ahead and look at the stream and see if we can address anything, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, we can just show some flyers again, promote the events, and call it.
Oh, well, I could do that if my... Oh, that's right! How am I
Right.
gonna turn off the program if I can't move my mouse?
Oh God,
Are we just stuck streaming forever?
we're stuck with this forever.
Okay, can you guys do me a favor? Can you look at the stream chat for questions and address them yourself? I'm gonna go ahead and look for batteries.
Okay.
I'll be
we
back.
open up a new tab. One More podcast gets real.
All right, I'm gonna ask you a few questions, Akihiko. I mean, that's it, bro.
No.
Like, who do you fear most right now? Like, barring your losses to 2 GB in a couple of the tournaments on Tuesday. Like, what character do you actually fear the most right now?
That's a very interesting question because I've actually made a very, very distinct choice to make absolutely sure that in no matchup will I ever say this is a bad matchup. I never want to look at any matchups in this game and say this is a bad matchup or this is a matchup that is difficult for my character. I very intentionally looked at everything that Aegis has and everything that Mitsuru has and said, this is not a problem for my character. I just need to master my character, and I will be able to handle this. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's the mindset that I'm going to use no matter what. So I'm not afraid of any characters in this game, and I'm going to continue to learn how to play the matchups until I win them. Or I'm going to do the best that I can. So far, I've been keeping up with 2 GB Combo, even though he, quote-unquote, has a better character than me. I don't want to say it's a bad matchup for my character, even though I have heard that much from everyone. I don't know if that's true yet. We don't know enough about the game. I want to continue to learn.
Okay. And is that a mindset that you recommend to other people?
If you're intending to win tournaments and you are scared of any matchup, you're doing something seriously wrong. Because you're going to go into the matchup with a mindset of, I should lose this unless I outplay my opponent. If you have respect for your opponent, which probably makes sense in terms of like a grand finals match, you're probably playing against someone very good. It's going to be somewhere in your mind that you should lose that match, and I just don't feel comfortable with that. I know that in BlazBlue CS2, I was playing Bang with a very crippled mindset. I was like going into matches with Noel thinking, I can't win this, it's so hard, I have to outplay my opponent so much. I never want to do that again because I have intention to win tournaments. So I don't ever want to let my mindset cripple the capability of my character.
That's cool. And yeah, that's a mindset that I wish more people had, honestly, because, there's so many people back in the old days, not the old days, but like I'm just remembering Mike Z putting up a video that just says, learn how to deal with it. Those were all of the tags, like just learn, don't complain, stop
I do
complaining.
actually appreciate that.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. I would say that it's possible that the double assist was relatively overwhelming for a lot of the characters, but at the same time, it became standard for every team to have the double assist, and in that sense, it was balanced because it was just like Psylocke in Marvel 2, or like Cyclops assist, or the Cable assist, where you just expect that. It's understood that assist is incredible, and it's part of the game. You have to learn how to beat it, or lose. I mean, that's just the reality. It's one or the other.
All right, that's cool. Do we have any other questions from the stream?
Actually,
While Koopa digs for his batteries.
No. What happened was, I play Shadow Labyrinth now, and it's nice to have like a buddy when you need backup. So I called for batteries, and this mini Minotaur rose from the ground and said, "Here, Koopa, thanks for playing Shadow Labyrinth." And I said, "You know what? You're my main. I love you too." So I took that, put it inside mouse, and here's your question, Dacid Bro. Dacid Bro mentioned sometimes the best thing to do under pressure / defense is to mash light attacks. True or false, and why?
Wait, I said what?
Apparently you said mash during pressure or on defense with light punches. Why?
Okay, I don't think I've ever said that exact thing, but I am under... Okay, so I played Bang and BlazBlue.
Yes.
Bang
really?
Bang had extremely weak defensive choices. They were all very gimmicky. Like his drives were like his quote-unquote reversals, but they lost for free against every good player. There were so many answers that would just beat them. So I learned how to use the game system itself to destroy my opponent's timing and put them in very awkward offensive situations they often had never been in before. So I'll do a lot of really crazy things that make people really mad, like no tech wake up crouch B.
Oh god.
That was hitting 2 GB very consistently whenever he was using Aegis or Gia mix-up.
Yeah.
Because Akihiko is one of the best anti-airs in the game in terms of how fast it starts up. So I would do no tech crouch B, and it would hit a counter hit out of his Orgia mix-up. And then the next time, I would do early tech, and his timing would be adjusted for the no tech. And his mix-up would just be all messed up. He wouldn't hit any of his overheads or lows, or he would at least have to sacrifice his safe jumps. So then, after I do the weird tech, I would press Dragon Punch because his timing's messed up and he doesn't have safe jumps. So what I would actually encourage is that you explore the game system deeply and learn how to exploit it in your favor, especially against against players or characters that can't deal with it as well as others. Like Aegis ends up flying over you uselessly, or caught in the wrong situation and gets anti-aired, or has to forfeit her safe jumps. And a lot of characters are like this. If you tech at the weird time against Mitsuru, she might have whiffed her jump B already, and then she's just kind of at this awkward neutral situation right next to you. And you can force that just by the tech differences. Basically, when you hit the ground, don't just hold tech. Make sure you're actually thinking about whether you do early tech, late tech, or no tech. Those are 3 distinct wake-up options that most people just never even look at. And then make sure that you are instant blocking on defense, because in the circumstance that that person was suggesting, where I said to press just like mash on light attacks in defense, it's actually very structured. I'll instant block very specific normals and expect a very specific follow-up to that will be beaten by a crouching light. So if you know the defensive choices in the game, you can use them to establish holes in people's offense that normally didn't exist, and you can make them feel very comfortable, or in some cases just fall to pieces.
But having a Mitsuru right next to you, that's okay, because sometimes you just want to wrap your arm around her.
What?
Okay, you know what?
That made almost no sense at all. And it didn't have anything to do with anything that I just said.
Okay, whatever.
But I trust you because you have a good speaking voice.
Well, thank you, Dacid. Alright, are there any other questions on this stream?
I have a question. Koopa, when did you go insane? What's it like?
It's what happens when Dacid Bro texts late and does 2B, and I see it and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But I hate to see that too, because I was like, damn, I wish I could do that.
I don't even know what you're talking about anymore.
Oh no, what? I'm actually spying to myself, because I was thinking, when Dacid mentioned that against 2 GB, I talked about it on stream during the 24-hour event. I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And I said it specifically, I wish I had that.
Yeah, Labrys 2B does not function the same way at all. Labrys does not really get to do that. However, you could no-tech air grab, and honestly, that might work. So I would try that. Get creative.
And yeah, that's actually something that I want everyone to do with this game, because it has such a robust training mode. Get creative. Don't just copy what you see in a little combo recipe. You want to get creative. There's only 13 characters. You have plenty of time to concentrate on your own game instead of just focusing on what other people are doing.
Yes. And then who knows? You might be the next person to bring your character into SPO. Like, I don't know. It could be you could be Dempa again, or you could be Dasibro doing Wake Up 2B. I'm sorry, I just think that's so funny. It reminds me of Mike Z.
No, honestly, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Every time I hit that counter hit on Aegis, it just feels beautiful. It feels like I'm cheating. Like, obviously this isn't possible. She's in Orgia mode and she's right on top of me, but I'm hitting her.
It's a good feeling. I know.
It's beautiful.
That beautiful feeling when someone kills Phoenix, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like discovering that choice stabilized the matchup in a lot of ways, because I changed it from a get hit or don't get hit situation to a get hit or hit you situation, which is so much better, because instead of just like, oh, I blocked it, now I'm dealing with another 50-50. It's, I hit you, you're on the ground dealing with my mix-up now. Deal with it.
Yeah, I actually really support that. Are there any other questions that we should get to?
Doesn't seem like there are any more, so I'll go ahead and finally use this working mouse for the flyers. So once again, on August 11th at 12 PM PST, we have NorCal Install. Usually it's the first of every Saturday, and you can watch it here at twitch.tv/finestko. Once again, 4 tournaments: Persona 4 Arena, BlazBlue Extend, Skullgirls, and King of Fighters 13. And last but not least, Persona 4 launch tournament on twitch.tv/levelup at 5 PM PST. You'll see Dasibro there, and hopefully I'll be there as well. If I decide to go, Dasid, hopefully you can pick me up in Davis. Once again,
Are
August
you coming
12th.
to NorCal Install?
Yes, I will.
Why don't you just stay here? We'll talk.
Okay, we'll talk about it. I think we're good to go, right?
Probably.
Yeah?
Well, actually, we can't end the podcast without this.
Are you gonna baby?
Oh, no.
Are you gonna burn my bread?
No?
Are you gonna reach out and stake out and whistle happy tunes?
What are you talking
I hate
about?
you guys.
That's what I think that the lyrics are. What do you think the lyrics are for that song?
I just want to go one podcast without talking about anime.
No, wait.
Can we just go one podcast?
How dare you not talk about anime? Okay, you know what? Just because of that, we're gonna play anime music.
Oh, good
No,
lord.
no. How dare you? No anime on Persona 4 Arena podcast? Let me work on this.
What, you gonna make him wait for it?
Yes, he's gonna wait for it.
Even worse.
Alright, hang on. I'll type it in. Persona.
What are you doing to this poor guy?
I'm not doing anything. I'm just making sure that he understands his place.
See, I'm actually
What?
having a
No,
lot of laugh here
roll?
because I can't hear anything. I don't have the stream on.
Oh, well, okay.
Hold that. Straight to your chest.
Oh, this is so terrible. This is wonderful at the same time.
All seriousness aside, I'm pretty sure all of the actual information that we're covering is done now, so if you have something really important to do, feel free to leave.
Yeah, hopefully the audio issues on my end will be fixed for next week. If nothing else, I can just start doing this podcast from home instead of in the back room of Game Center, hoping that my mic doesn't pick up Acid Bro.
Alright guys, we're gonna go ahead and try to make this podcast every week on Thursday at around 6 to 6:30 PM PST. So thank you for watching, and I hope you stay tuned for the next one more podcast. This is Koopa, and we're out.
Acid Bro, and yeah.
See you guys.
Yeah.
God.